You know, sometimes I laugh at myself. A broken man standing in the ruins of what he thought would last forever. And still I find the strength to smirk at the irony of it all. They thought I'd fall and stay down. They thought the weight of betrayal, the stabs in the back, the silent nights, and the endless tears would bury me. But here I am, talking, bleeding, crying, and somehow still alive. And that in itself is a miracle. I never asked for this war. I never begged for scars that eat through my chest. When I remember every word spoken to me in trust, every promise made and broken, every hand I held that later pushed me into the dirt. But maybe this is the fate of a warrior. Never chosen, only forged. Pain didn't ask me for permission before it built its house inside my bones. Darkness didn't knock before it broke my doors and settled in my mind. And yet, despite everything, I am fine. Not because I don't feel the fire, but because I have learned how to burn with it. H. Do you know what it means to watch everything you love slip through your fingers? To fight until your knuckles bleed, only to realize no one was fighting beside you. That's the kind of silence that doesn't just fill a room, it swallows your soul. I screamed once, cried until the earth itself should have cracked open, but the world stayed quiet. That's when I understood nobody's coming to save me. Nobody. And that truth cut deeper than any sword. It taught me the kind of loneliness that even death envies. But listen to me now. If you're bleeding, if you're shattered, if you think you can't take one more step, understand this. Your suffering is the evidence of your strength. Weak men don't get tested like this. The fire doesn't care to waste itself on fragile wood. It chooses iron. It chooses those who can take the heat and still stand. I am not proud of my tears, but I'm not ashamed of them either. Every drop that fell carved my face into the shape of a survivor. Every time they mocked me, I sharpened my silence until it became a blade they can't escape. Sometimes I whisper to myself, why me? Why was I chosen for this endless grief? And the answer comes back louder than thunder, because you can carry it. That's the curse and blessing of the warrior. You don't choose the pain, but you master it until it bows before you. You walk with your chest ripped open, yet no one dares question if your heart is still beating. They know it is because they can feel it shake the ground beneath your steps. They wanted me to break. Oh, how they wanted to see me crawl, begging for mercy, suffocated by my own sorrow. And yes, I broke. I broke 1,000 times, but each break was a lesson. Each scar was a scripture. Each betrayal was a teacher, whispering in my ear, you are more dangerous when you rise. And so I rose again and again. Broken, yes, but destroyed never. So cry if you must. Scream if the silence is choking you, but never ever surrender. Remember that every night ends, no matter how endless it feels. And every warrior who bleeds in the dark will one day see the dawn. And when that dawn comes, when you walk out of the shadows, the world will finally understand why you kept going. Because you were not fighting for them. You were fighting for yourself despite everything. I am fine. And if I am, then so can you. You see these hands? They shake not from fear, but from carrying too much weight for too long. They've held weapons, held people I loved, held held my own face when the tears wouldn't stop. And sometimes they held nothing. Just the emptiness of a life I didn't ask for. People look at me and they think strength is this shiny armor. Uncracked, untouched, unbreakable. Huh? Fools. Real strength is the man who wears broken armor, dented and rusted, and still steps into the battlefield. Real strength is the warrior who has no shield, only scars, and yet raises his chest to the storm like it owes him something. I don't hide my pain anymore. Why should I? Pain has been my most loyal companion. It never left me. It never betrayed me. It wakes me up at night. It walks with me in the day. It eats with me. It sits in silence beside me when everyone else leaves. Pain is the only friend who doesn't lie. It tells you exactly where you are weak. It whispers what you must face. It shows you the truth no one else dares to say. And you know what? It forces you to grow. Without it, I'd still be a soft boy thinking the world was kind. But now I see it. This world is fire. And you either burn or learn to carry the flames. They laughed at me once. Do you know what it feels like to pour your heart out? To give everything and still be treated like a joke? They mocked my silence. They mocked my tears. They mocked my loyalty. They thought kindness meant weakness. Huh? But that's where they were wrong. Kindness is not weakness. It is control. It is choosing not to become the monster that created your scars. It is choosing not to destroy everything, even though destruction would be easy. But here's the secret. When the warrior stops holding back, when the warrior finally decides to stop explaining, stop forgiving, stop bleeding for those who never cared, he becomes unstoppable. I know you're tired. I know you're sitting there wondering if the fight is worth it. You think the world doesn't see you. You think your sacrifices are invisible. You cry at night asking God why your heart feels so heavy, why you carry storms no one else can even imagine. I've asked the same questions. And the answer is harsh but simple. You were chosen for this weight because you were built to carry it. Weak men get excuses. Strong men get battles. That's how it is. That's how it will always be. Despite everything, I am fine. Not fine like smiling in the sunlight. Not fine like everything is easy. No. I am fine because I learned how to bleed without dying. I learned how to walk with broken bones and still keep moving forward. I am fine because I no longer expect the world to be gentle with me. I am fine because I stopped begging for loyalty from the disloyal and love from the unloving. I am fine because I understood that my value does not decrease because they failed to see it. Sometimes I whisper to myself when the night is too heavy. You will make it even if no one believes you. And every time I say it, something inside me stands taller. Something inside me refuses to break. That's what it means to be a warrior. You fight battles no one sees. You cry tears no one hears. And you still rise like nothing happened. And the more they push you into the ground, the deeper your roots grow. They buried me alive. But they forgot I was a seed. And to you, the one listening, cry, but don't collapse. Break, but don't surrender. Suffer, but don't silence your fire. Let your scars speak louder than their words. Let your silence become their punishment. And when they come back, and they always come back, Stand tall, look them in the eyes, and let them choke on the man you became. Despite everything, I am fine. And tomorrow, I'll be more than fine. I'll be unshakable. I remember the first time I broke down, the first time my knees gave out under the weight of everything I carried. I thought if I just screamed loud enough, someone would hear me. But the room was empty. The world was death. And I realized something that night. No one is coming. That truth hit harder than any blade. It shattered every illusion I had about people, about love, about loyalty. I had to stitch myself back together with trembling hands. And every stitch was a lesson written in blood. That's when I stopped expecting comfort from others and started carving strength out of my own misery. That's when the warrior inside me was born. People always ask, how do you keep going? And I laugh, not because it's funny, but because they'll never understand. They see me standing here and think I'm untouched. They think survival means I didn't suffer, but they don't see the nights I drowned in silence. The mornings I woke up with eyes swollen from tears. The days I forced myself to keep walking when my body screamed to collapse. That's what survival really is. Dragging yourself through fire while no one notices the flames. Despite everything, I am fine. But fine doesn't mean happy. It means I've made peace with pain. I've shaken hands with suffering. I've learned to sleep beside grief without letting it kill me. It means when betrayal knocked on my door, I welcomed it in, sat it at my table and said, teach me what I need to know. And it did. It taught me that not everyone who swears loyalty means it. It taught me that people will smile at you while sharpening the knife behind their back. It taught me that love without respect is poison and trust without proof is suicide. But here's the thing, I needed all of it. Every scar on my body is proof that I've lived through storms they wouldn't survive a day in. Every tear I've shed is a reminder that I can still feel. Even when my heart has been beaten into stone. Every time I was left behind. Every time I was mocked. Every time I was doubted, it was all fuel. The fire didn't consume me. It built me. And now I burn from within. Let me tell you something harsh. People will not care until you win. They won't clap for your battles. They won't comfort you in your pain. They won't believe in you when you're on your knees. But the day you rise, the day you silence the noise with your success, the day you walk with the calm of a man who has survived hell, they will pretend they always knew you'd make it. That's the nature of this world. And you can cry about it, or you can accept it and keep building yourself in silence. I chose the latter. There were nights I wanted to end it all. Nights where the thought of one more breath felt heavier than mountains. But then I remembered my pain is not a curse. It is a calling. If I give up, then everything I've suffered becomes meaningless. But if I rise, if I endure, if I walk through this hell and come out the other side, then every scar becomes a story. Every tear becomes a testimony. Every betrayal becomes proof that I was stronger than what tried to break me. They don't understand. They think I'm quiet because I'm weak. They think my silence means surrender. But silence is the loudest weapon I've ever held. When I stop explaining, when I stop begging, When I stop reacting, the world shakes. My silence is not emptiness. It is preparation. And when the time comes, I will not need to raise my voice. The weight of who I've become will speak louder than any words. To the one who feels like breaking, don't. To the one who feels invisible, your time will come. To the one who has been betrayed, let your scars harden you, not poison you. Cry, scream, bleed, but keep walking. Because one day when you stand at the top, when you look down at everything you survived, you will finally understand why it had to hurt this much. You will whisper to yourself, despite everything, I am fine. And that will be the sweetest victory of all. You know what the cruelest part is? It's not the pain itself. It's the silence that follows it. The silence of people you once carried on your back, who disappeared the moment you stumble. The silence of those who swore, I'll never leave, yet vanished when the storm arrived. That silence is louder than screams. It eats through your chest like acid. It makes you question your worth. Makes you wonder if all your sacrifices meant nothing. And maybe they did to them. But not to me. Every sacrifice I made carved me into something they will never understand. Huh. Funny, isn't it? They thought leaving me would destroy me. They thought betrayal would kill me. They thought rejection would silence me. But it only forged me. Sharper, harder, colder. It turned me into something I never thought I'd be. Unbreakable. Not because I don't hurt anymore. I hurt every day. But I have learned how to live with wounds that never close. I've learned how to fight with broken ribs, how to stand with shattered legs, how to smile with a bleeding mouth. That's strength, not perfection, not comfort, not an easy road. Strength is dragging yourself through the mud while they laugh and showing up the next day. Anyway, despite everything, I am fine. Do you know why? Because pain stopped being my enemy. It became my ally. Every scar on my body is a weapon now. Every tear I shed waters the soil beneath me, growing roots so deep they can't pull me out. Every time they doubted me, I carved those words into stone and built a fortress out of them. I don't run from my pain anymore. I wear it like armor. There were days I wanted to disappear. Days where the thought of being forgotten seemed easier than carrying on. I prayed for the night to swallow me, for the earth to bury me, for the storm to drown me. But then I realized, if I give in, then everything I've endured becomes wasted suffering. My pain would be for nothing, and I couldn't allow that. If I must hurt, then my hurt must build something greater. If I must bleed, then my blood must water something worth living for. That is what kept me standing. That is what kept me breathing when my chest begged me to stop. Do you know what real loneliness is? It's not sitting alone in a room. It's sitting in a room full of people and realizing not one of them truly knows your battles. It's walking through life surrounded by voices that never understand the screams inside your head. That loneliness, it either destroys you or it shapes you into something untouchable. For me, it did both. It killed the boy I was, and it gave birth to the warrior I became. They told me I was too soft. They mocked my tears. They said, real men don't cry. Fools, do you think tears make me weak? Number. My tears are proof that I've carried mountains on my shoulders without losing my humanity. My tears are proof that I feel deeply even when life rips me apart. Weak men hide behind fake smiles and hollow hearts. Strong men cry, then wipe their face, pick up their sword, and keep fighting. That's what I am. That's what I've become. So when you see me quiet, don't mistake it for defeat. When you see me bleeding, don't mistake it for weakness. When you see me crying, don't mistake it for surrender. Understand this. Everything I endure only adds to the storm I'm becoming. And one day, when the time is right, that storm will break loose, and every person who doubted me, every person who betrayed me, every person who laughed at me, they will remember my silence louder than any roar. Despite everything, I am fine. Broken, bleeding, scarred, but fine. Fine because I refused to surrender. Fine because I turned my misery into fuel. Fine because I've accepted that this path is mine, and I will walk it with fire in my chest and tears in my eyes if I must. Fine because I know that one day when I stand at the top, they will realize that the man they buried is the same man who learned to grow roots in the dark. Let me tell you what breaks a man. It's not the swords, not the fists, not even the endless nights without rest. What breaks a man is giving everything, offering his heart, his loyalty, his blood, and still being treated like he is disposable. That's the cruelty that no blade can match. You fight with everything inside you only to realize they never valued you, never saw the depth of your sacrifice. And in that moment, something inside you dies. But here's the thing. They thought that death was the end of me. They thought once I collapsed, I would never rise again. But they were wrong. That death was only the funeral of the weak version of myself. From his grave rose someone else, someone darker, stronger, untouchable. Despite everything, I am fine. Not the kind of fine people post about with fake smiles and hollow words. My fine is different. My fine means I've accepted the scars. My fine means I've made peace with the betrayal. My fine means I've learned how to walk with wounds that still bleed. Because real warriors don't wait for healing. They fight while they are bleeding. And every drop of blood that falls becomes a testimony that nothing could stop me. There were nights I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I mattered to anyone. Nights where silence pressed against my chest until I thought I would suffocate. Nights where I wanted to vanish, to let the earth swallow me. But every time I came close to giving up, something whispered back, "Not yet. You still have battles left." And so I kept breathing. Sometimes with tears running down my face, sometimes with fists clenched, sometimes barely hanging on. But I kept breathing. People don't realize how much strength it takes to simply keep existing when your soul is exhausted. They think survival is easy. They look at me and say, "You're strong. You'll be fine." If only they knew strength isn't some gift you wake up with. It's forged by crying until your eyes burn, by falling and forcing yourself to crawl forward, by losing everyone you thought you needed and still learning to stand. That's what strength really is. Surviving the nights that tried to kill you despite everything. I am fine because now I understand. Pain was never my enemy. Pain was my teacher. Betrayal was my test. Loneliness was my training ground. Every scar, every wound, every heartbreak, it was all shaping me into something greater. Something even I didn't believe I could become. And the funny thing is, the very people who caused my pain will one day fear the strength it created. Let me tell you a secret. Your enemies don't want you destroyed. Not really. They want you broken, silent, forgotten. They want your story to end in the middle. But the greatest revenge you can give them is to keep going, to outlive their doubts, to rise higher than they ever imagined you could, to smile at them one day, not with hatred, but with calm, unshakable silence. The silence that says, "You failed to bury me." That silence cuts deeper than any blade. I used to think tears made me weak. I used to hide them, ashamed of my own humanity. But now I see differently. Tears don't make me weak. They prove I have a heart strong enough to keep beating. Even after it's been torn apart, tears prove I still care. Even when the world has given me every reason not to. And that to me is strength beyond measure. Weak men hide behind masks. Strong men cry, then wipe their faces and return to the battlefield. That's who I am. Sometimes I sing to myself, not to forget the pain, but to remind myself that I still have a voice. Despite everything, I am still alive. Despite everything, I am still here. And if you're listening, if you feel like you can't go on, let me tell you this. You can. You will. Because inside you there is a fire that refuses to die. Yes, you will cry. Yes, you will break. Yes, you will feel abandoned. But every time you rise again, you prove them wrong. Every time you take another step, you spit in the face of the darkness that tried to drown you. And one day, when you look back at everything you survived, you will realize you weren't just surviving. You were being built despite everything. I am fine. Broken, yes. Shattered, yes. But still here, still standing, still breathing, still rising. And that is enough. I carry shadows inside me that no light can erase. I walk with ghosts. Faces of people who swore they loved me. Voices that once promised forever. Memories that now cut like daggers. Do you know what it's like to replay conversations in your head at night? Trying to find the moment where everything went wrong. Do you know what it's like to blame yourself for their betrayal? To wonder if maybe you weren't enough. That's the hell I live with. That's the weight on my chest every morning. And yet, despite it all, I rise. Not because I want to, but because I must. Because if I let it kill me, then their betrayal wins. They thought breaking me would silence me. They thought walking away would erase me. But all it did was create a man they can never reach again. I am no longer who I was. The boy who trusted too much. The man who gave without limits. The warrior who begged for loyalty. That version of me died in the fire. And in his ashes stood someone colder, harder, sharper. I don't explain myself anymore. I don't beg anymore. I don't chase anymore. I have become silence, and silence terrifies them more than my screams ever could. Despite everything, I am fine. Not because life got easier. No, it got worse. The battles grew heavier. The nights grew longer. The loneliness dug deeper. But I became stronger. Pain became fuel. Betrayal became wisdom. Scars became armor. That's what they don't understand. You cannot destroy a man who has learned to build castles from the rubble you left him in. There were nights I thought my chest would split open from the grief inside me. Nights where I cried until my body shook, where I whispered prayers with trembling lips, begging for relief. Nights where I felt the weight of the world pressing me into the floor, daring me to stay down. But every morning, even with swollen eyes and a broken heart, I stood. Because a warrior doesn't get the luxury of surrender. A warrior fights even when the fight is only to take one more breath. People look at me and they see survival. But they don't see the cost. They don't see how every smile is stitched together with pain. They don't see how every step is carried by willpower alone. They don't see the bleeding wounds under the armor. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they were never meant to see it. Maybe my battle was always meant to be mine alone. And so I carry it quietly until silence itself becomes my war cry. I want you to understand something. Being fine doesn't mean being happy. It doesn't mean being healed. It doesn't mean the pain is gone. Being fine means I've accepted it. I've made peace with the fact that life will not be gentle with me. It means I no longer run from the fire. I walk through it. It means I no longer wait for rescue. I rescue myself. It means I no longer beg for love. I become it. That's what fine means when spoken by a warrior. And the beauty of it all. The same people who left me in the dark will one day wonder how I built light out of nothing. They will wonder how I kept walking when they swore I'd never rise again. They will choke on the silence I gave them, because nothing kills the guilty like watching the man they buried rise higher than they ever dreamed. Despite everything, I am still here. Despite everything, I still fight. So listen carefully. You who are broken, you who are crying, you who feel invisible, don't give up. Your pain has a purpose. Your scars are not decorations of defeat. They are proof of survival. Your tears are not weakness. They are proof that your heart still beats even under fire. Let them laugh, let them betray, let them doubt. None of it matters. What matters is that you keep standing, because every day you rise, you prove them wrong. Every breath you take is a victory. Every step you take is defiance. And one day when you stand on the mountain of everything you survived, you will whisper the same words I whisper now. Despite everything, I am fine, and that will be enough. They don't see the nights. They don't see the moments where I stare into the dark and wonder if I am just a shadow passing through this world, unnoticed, unseen. They don't see the hours I spend wrestling with my own mind, with memories that don't fade, with voices that don't quiet. They think the warrior never breaks, but I broke again and again. My bones didn't snap, but my spirit did. My trust did. My heart did. Yet each time I shattered, I gathered the pieces with bleeding hands, pressed them back into my chest, and whispered to myself, "Not today. You will not die today." And I rose. Broken, yes, but rising nonetheless. Do you know what irony is? It's when the same people who left you in the fire later ask how you survived it. They watch you walk calm, composed, silent, and they wonder why you don't speak to them anymore. They wonder why your eyes are colder, why your words are sharper, why your silence burns them more than your screams ever did. And the answer is simple. I learned. I learned what they were. I learned what I was. I learned what the world is. And once a man learns, truly learns, he cannot go back to who he was before. Despite everything, I am fine. But don't mistake me. Fine doesn't mean healed. Fine doesn't mean I don't ache when I remember. Fine doesn't mean I don't wake up some mornings with my chest heavy enough to crush me. Fine means I no longer beg for the pain to stop. Fine means I've accepted that the pain is a part of me now, stitched into my soul, carved into my identity. Fine means I've learned to fight while carrying it, to walk while bleeding, to smile while crying. That is my fine. There were nights I thought no one would ever understand. And maybe that's true. Maybe no one ever will. But I stopped waiting for understanding. I stopped craving someone to look me in the eyes and say, I see you. I hear you. I know what you're going through. Because the truth is, no one will. Not fully. Each man fights his war alone. Each warrior bleeds alone. And if you are waiting for someone to save you from it, you will die waiting. That's the lesson I learned in the dark. Your salvation must come from within. I look back now at the boy I was, and I almost pity him. So naive, so trusting, so desperate to give his heart away, desperate to please, desperate to be loved. He thought loyalty meant something to everyone. He thought kindness would always be returned. He thought love was enough to hold people together. Poor boy. He didn't know that loyalty is rare. Kindness is often taken as weakness, and love without respect and consistency, is nothing but poison. That boy died, and in his place stands me, the warrior, scarred and unyielding. Sometimes, though, I miss him. I miss the softness, the innocence, the blind faith in people. But then I remember how they tore him apart, how they mocked him, how they left him bleeding. And I whispered to myself, better to be hard and standing than soft and broken. And I keep walking despite everything. I am fine. I tell myself this not because I believe it fully, but because I must. Because if I don't, the darkness will win, and I refuse to let it. My pain will not be wasted. My scars will not be for nothing. My silence will not be meaningless. If I must carry this weight, then it will forge me into something greater, something untouchable. And when the day comes, when I finally stand at the top of the mountain built from my suffering, I will look down at the ruins of everything that tried to destroy me and whisper, despite everything, I am fine. To anyone listening, remember this. They can betray you. They can abandon you. They can laugh at your tears, but they cannot erase you unless you let them. They cannot bury you unless you lie down in the grave yourself. And if you refuse, if you keep breathing, keep moving, keep rising, then one day you will stand as I stand now. Not healed, not unscarred, but alive, unbroken in spirit, untouchable in will. And that is worth more than any love they failed to give. Despite everything, I am fine, and I always will be. The nights are the hardest. That's when the weight comes back, heavier than ever, pressing against my chest, daring me to collapse. During the day, I can wear the mask, calm, collected, unshaken. But when the darkness falls and silence settles, The mask cracks. That's when the memories march in like soldiers, one after another, each carrying a piece of my past I wish I could burn. Faces of those who left, voices of those who lied, shadows of moments I can't erase. I lie there, staring at the ceiling, and I ask myself the same question over and over. Why me? Why this battle? Why this pain? And the only answer I ever find is silence. Huh? But silence speaks louder than words, doesn't it? Silence taught me that not every question has an answer. Silence taught me that life owes me nothing. Silence taught me that the warrior does not get to choose his battles. He only gets to choose whether or not he keeps fighting. And I chose to fight. Not because I don't want to break. I already did. Not because I'm not tired. I am exhausted. I chose to fight because I refused to let the darkness win, because if I surrender, then all the pain I carried would mean nothing despite everything. I am fine. Not because I escaped pain, but because I made it my ally. I let it carve me, shape me, burn me. I let it destroy the weak parts of me and leave behind only the iron. Do you know what it feels like to stop fearing the fire and start walking through it willingly? It's terrifying at first. Every step feels like suicide. But then slowly you realize something. The fire cannot destroy what was born to endure it. And then you walk taller. You breathe deeper. You start to smirk when the flames lick your skin, because you know you are no longer the victim. You are the survivor. There were days I begged for someone to notice. Days I prayed for someone to put a hand on my shoulder and say, I see your pain. I see your struggle. You're not alone. But no one came. And so I became that voice for myself. I became my own comfort, my own strength, my own savior. That's what they don't understand. When you have no one, you learn to become everything for yourself. And once you do, you can never be broken the same way again. They thought I would stay down. They thought betrayal would keep me crawling. They thought silence would keep me invisible. But my silence is not weakness. It is thunder, waiting for its moment. My tears are not weakness. They are water that grows forests in the ashes they left me in. My scars are not shame. They are the proof that I fought wars that would have killed them in a day. Huh? That's what makes me dangerous. Not my strength, not my rage, not my fists. What makes me dangerous is that I survived what was meant to destroy me. I used to believe love was enough, that if you gave everything, if you sacrificed, if you stayed loyal, then people would see your worth. But I was wrong. Love without respect is chains. Loyalty to the wrong people is slavery. Sacrifice for the ungrateful is suicide. And I learned painfully that no matter how much you give, some people will always want more. And when you can't give it, they'll leave. That truth burned me, but it also freed me. Now I give, but not blindly. I love, but not without boundaries. I fight, but only for what deserves my blood. Despite everything, I am fine. Not because I don't hurt, but because I refuse to let the hurt define me. I refuse to let betrayal turn me bitter. I refuse to let loneliness turn me hollow. I refuse to let scars turn me ashamed. Instead, I let them turn me sharper, deeper, more dangerous. I let them carve a new man out of the ruins of the old one. And this man, the one speaking now, He is not here to beg for understanding. He is here to warn you. Don't underestimate the quiet warrior. Don't laugh at the one who cries. Don't betray the one who loves with his whole chest. Because when he transforms, when he finally stops giving, when he finally becomes everything you feared, there will be no one doing it. Despite everything, I am still here. Despite everything, I still rise. Despite everything, I still whisper to myself at night, one more breath, one more step, one more battle, and somehow that is enough to keep me alive. There is a cruelty in life that no sword could ever deliver. It's not the blow that kills you. It's the slow dragging ache of being forgotten by the very people you once bled for. That's the kind of wound that doesn't heal. The kind that furs in silence. The kind you carry for years while pretending you're fine. And maybe that's why I repeat those words. Despite everything, I am fine. Not because I believe them every second, but because if I don't, I'll drown in the weight of what I've carried. It's a lie I tell myself until it becomes the truth. They'll never know the battles I fought alone. They'll never know the nights I pressed my palms against my chest, trying to keep my heart from breaking apart completely. They'll never know the mornings I dragged my body out of bed. Not because I wanted to, but because lying there felt like surrender. And warriors don't surrender. They'll never know the voices I silenced in my head, the ones that told me I was worthless, forgotten, unloved. I silenced them not with answers, but with actions. Every time I moved forward when I wanted to collapse, I proved them wrong. Every time I took another breath, I defied them. That's survival. Not glory, not triumph. Just stubborn defiance against the darkness. Despite everything, I am fine. Do you know why? Because I refuse to let the world dictate my worth. They didn't see me. They didn't value me. They didn't love me the way I loved them. But that doesn't mean I am unworthy. That means they were blind. And blindness is their curse to carry, not mine. I've learned that some people can look directly at gold and still think it's dust. And if that's how they saw me, then I was never meant to stay in their hands. The real ones, the rare ones, see you. Even when you're bleeding, even when you're broken, and until they come, I'll stand alone. I would rather walk alone in truth than surrounded by liars and comfort. But don't mistake me. I'm not untouchable. I cry. I break. I fall to my knees when the nights are too heavy. I whisper prayers with trembling lips begging for strength. My eyes burn from tears I swore I'd never shed again. And yet, even in those moments of weakness, something deep inside me refuses to die. That's the warrior's curse. Even when he wants to stop, he can't. Even when he begs for rest, his soul forces him to rise again, because somewhere inside he knows his story is not finished yet. I used to think love was enough to save me. That if I gave everything, someone would hold me through the storm. But storms don't care about your love. Storms don't care about your loyalty. They come anyway. And when they do, you realize that no hand can hold you up forever. You must learn to stand on your own legs, even when they're trembling. That was my lesson. No matter who stays, no matter who leaves, no matter who betrays, you must stand. Because if you don't, you'll never rise again. Despite everything, I am fine. Because pain sharpened me. Loneliness deepened me. Betrayal freed me. Every scar I wear is proof that I lived through battles they wouldn't even survive a day in. Every tear I cried is proof that my heart still beats even after being crushed. Every silence I kept is proof that I'm stronger than the noise they threw at me. They wanted to see me crawling. Instead, they'll see me walking through the ashes they left behind, calm, steady, unstoppable. And when they come back, and they always do, they'll look into my eyes and see nothing familiar. They'll search for the man who begged for their love, the man who forgave endlessly, the man who cried for them, but he's gone. He died in the fire. They said what stands before them now is the warrior they created with their betrayal, cold, scarred, unshaken. And the only words they'll hear from me will be silence. Because nothing punishes the guilty like the silence of the man they thought they destroyed. Despite everything, I am still here. Despite everything, I am still breathing. Despite everything, I am still fighting. And that is enough. They say, time heals all wounds. I laugh at that lie. Time doesn't heal. That only teaches you how to walk with a limp. The wound never really closes. It just becomes part of you. Some days it's quiet, like a dull ache you can ignore. Other days it rips open again, bleeding as if it were fresh. That's the reality they don't talk about. Healing isn't forgetting. Healing isn't pretending it never happened. Healing is saying, yes, it broke me, but I learned how to move with the pieces. And that is where I live in the space between broken and unyielding. You know what's funny? They thought by betraying me, they freed themselves. They thought I'd collapse under the weight of abandonment. But betrayal is a strange thing. It burns, yes, but it also forges. It burns away illusions. It burns away weakness. It burns away false hope. And what's left is something sharper, something purer, something dangerous. They didn't break me. They built the very man they now fear. Despite everything, I am fine. I say it again and again because those words are my armor. They are my defiance. They are my battle cry. I am not fine in the way the world expects. Smiling, happy, untouched. Number, I am fine because I learned how to carry the weight without collapsing. I am fine because I no longer beg for people to understand. I am fine because I've accepted that some storms will never pass, and yet I keep walking in the rain anyway. That is my definition of fine. There were nights I asked God why. Nights where the tears felt like they would never stop. Nights where my chest ached so badly I thought I would die before morning. But then morning came, and then another and another, and I realized something simple yet powerful. Survival itself is victory. The fact that I kept waking up even when I didn't want to meant the fight wasn't over. And if the fight isn't over, then neither am I. People will never understand the cost of survival. They'll see you standing and think it was easy. They'll see you breathing and think you were spared. They'll see your calm face and assume you never cried. But survival is bloody. Survival is ugly. Survival is nights spent clawing at your own skin, begging for the pain to stop. Survival is whispering to yourself in the dark, just one more breath, just one more step. Survival is dragging yourself through fire with nothing left but stubbornness. And yet, when you come out the other side, they will only see the surface. They will never know what it cost you. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they're not supposed to know. Maybe the warrior's war is meant to be invisible to everyone else. Because the truth is, if they had walked a single night in my shoes, they would have collapsed long ago. They could not survive what I survived. That is not arrogance. It is fact. They mocked my tears. They mocked my silence. They mocked my kindness. But if they carried even a fraction of what I've carried, it would have killed them. And that is why I walk with my head high, even when my heart is heavy. Despite everything, I am fine, because fine means I no longer run from my scars. I show them. Fine means I no longer beg for loyalty. I embody it. Fine means I no longer collapse. When the world spits on me, I let it harden me. Every scar on my body is a verse in the story of survival. Every tear I shed is ink written into the book of endurance. Every silence I kept is thunder waiting for its time. And when the time comes, my silence will speak louder than their laughter ever did. I am not healed. I am not untouched. I am not who I once was, but I am still here. And that alone is victory. Because the goal was never to live without pain. The goal was to live despite it. And I've done exactly that. Despite everything, I am still here. Despite everything, I am still fighting. Despite everything, I am fine. I have learned that life does not destroy you in one strike. No, it destroys you slowly, piece by piece, day by day, like water dripping onto stone until it carves a canyon through your chest. It's the little things that tear you apart. The ignored messages, the broken promises, the mocking laughter when you gave your soul. Each wound is small on its own, but together they become an avalanche that buries you alive. And I know what it means to suffocate under that weight. I know what it means to claw at the earth with bloody hands, gasping for air, while the silence above grows heavier. And still I whisper the same words. Despite everything, I am fine. Isn't that strange that even in the deepest pit, I cling to those words like a lifeline? Not because I feel fine, far from it, but because warriors are not allowed to admit defeat. If I say it enough, maybe it will become true. Maybe one day I will believe it fully. Until then, it is the shield I carry. Cracked and battered, but still enough to keep me moving. You see, pain changes you. It burns away who you used to be. It strips you bare, tears you down to your bones, and then in that emptiness, you find the raw truth of yourself. I no longer recognize the man I was before. He was softer, hopeful, foolish. He believed love could conquer all, believed loyalty would always be repaid, believed kindness would protect him. That man is dead. The fire killed him. The betrayal buried him. But I don't mourn him because from his grave rose someone the world cannot break. Scarred, yes. Bleeding, yes. But unshakable. Despite everything, I'm fine. Because fine doesn't mean healed. It means I endure. It means I keep breathing when I don't want to. It means I keep walking when my legs are shaking. It means I keep fighting when I've already lost everything. That is what fine means when it comes from my lips. And it terrifies those who thought they ended me. They expected to see me broken forever. They expected to see me begging for their return. They expected to see me crawling in the dirt they pushed me into. But instead, I rise quieter, colder, more dangerous. They look into my eyes now and see nothing familiar. The warmth they once exploited is gone. The innocence they once mocked has turned to stone. The loyalty they spat on has become a fortress they can no longer enter. And that frightens them more than any roar ever could. I will tell you something. No one else dares to say betrayal is a gift. Yes, it tears you apart. Yes, it leaves wounds that never close. Yes, it steals your trust and poisons your heart. But it also shows you the truth. It shows you who deserves a place in your life and who does not. It shows you the strength you never knew you had. It teaches you to walk alone, to stand alone, to fight alone. And once you learn that, no one can ever chain you again. Betrayal was their weapon, but it became my sword. Despite everything, I am fine because now I know I don't need them. I don't need their approval, their applause, their love. I don't need their empty promises or shallow loyalty. Everything I need is already inside me. The fire, the will, the unbreakable silence. That's why I am dangerous. Because I am not fueled by them anymore. I am fueled by the very pain they left behind. There were nights I begged God for answers. Nights where I couldn't understand why I was chosen for this path, why my heart had to carry storms others would never know. And though no voice answered me directly, I realized the truth in the silence. It is because I can bear it. Others would collapse, but I endure. Others would surrender, but I fight. Others would drown, but I rise. That is my curse. That is my blessing. Despite everything, I am still here. Despite everything, I still breathe. Despite everything, I still fight. And that is enough. The cruelest truth I ever learned is that the world doesn't stop for your pain. You can be shattered. You can be drowning. You can be on your knees, begging for relief. Yet the sun still rises. The clocks still tick. People still laugh as if nothing happened. Your suffering means nothing to them, and that's what cuts the deepest. Not the betrayal, not the loneliness, not even the heartbreak, but the realization that life moves on without caring whether you can keep up or not. That realization either destroys you or forces you to become something stronger. For me, it did both. It killed the man I was and forced me to become the warrior I am. They thought my tears were weakness. They thought my silence meant defeat. They thought walking away from me would leave me broken forever. But what they didn't know is that a warrior learns in silence. A warrior studies pain, memorizes every sting, sharpens every wound into a weapon. And when the time comes, he does not roar, he does not beg, he does not explain, he simply rises. And the world trembles at his return despite everything. I am fine. I repeat it not as comfort, but as defiance. Fine does not mean healed. Fine does not mean happy. Fine means I refuse to surrender. Fine means I still stand even with a cracked spine and bleeding hands. Fine means that every scar they gave me has become armor they cannot pierce again. Fine is my rebellion against the darkness that tried to swallow me. Do you know how many nights I wanted to end it all? How many times I stared into the void, begging for an end. Too many to count. And yet, every time I found myself whispering, "Not yet. You still have battles left." That whisper kept me alive when nothing else could. That whisper was my anchor when the storm tried to pull me under. And that is why I endure. Not because I am unbreakable, but because something inside me refuses to quit, refuses to let all this pain be for nothing. People think strength is about never crying. Fools. Strength is about crying until your eyes swell shut, then rising anyway. Strength is about being betrayed, cut open, torn apart, and still choosing to walk forward. Strength is about being surrounded by silence, feeling invisible, and still whispering, "I matter." Strength is about bleeding in the dark, while everyone else sleeps in peace, and still showing up the next day as if nothing happened. That is what real strength looks like. And it is forged only in suffering. Despite everything, I am fine, because pain didn't just visit me. It made a home inside me. It tried to crush me, but instead it became my teacher. It showed me the truth about people, about life, about myself. It taught me that loyalty is rare, that trust must be guarded, that love without respect is poison. It taught me that most people don't care about your scars, only about what they can take from you. And though those lessons burned, they also freed me because now I see clearly. Now I know what I will no longer tolerate. Now I know that my worth is not determined by their blindness. When they left, I thought I lost everything. But in truth, I lost nothing. I only shed the weight of those who were never meant to walk with me. They thought they buried me, but all they did was plant me. And from the soil of my suffering, I grew roots too deep for them to cut. That is why I rise now, stronger, quieter, untouchable. One day, when they see me again, they will wonder what happened to the man they once knew. They will search for the softness, the innocence, the desperate loyalty. But they will not find him. He is gone. What stands before them now is the man their betrayal created, and I will not need to speak a single word. My silence will say everything. Despite everything, I am still here. Despite everything, I still endure. Despite everything, I am fine.